Surprise! You've just landed on one of the coolest corners of the internet. My channel. If it's your first visit, hit that magical subscribe button and send this video to someone you like, or someone you want to confuse. Drop your location in the comments. I'm mapping out my fan base. Let's kick things off. The moment I unveiled Melissa's infidelity to her entire family is etched into my mind with brutal precision. Her mother's startled gasp echoed through the phone. Her sister's stunned silence was deafening, and the rage in her father's voice cut through the room like glass. But that explosion of truth was the culmination of a long deception, one that began years earlier with a lie wrapped in warmth and light. We first crossed paths at a 4th of July cookout 14 years ago. She wore a yellow dress that caught the sunlight just right, casting a kind of glow around her. I cracked a terrible joke about the charred burgers, and to my surprise, she burst out laughing. That laugh, full and unfiltered, could have lit up a whole city. Melissa was the polar opposite of me, impulsive where I was cautious, extroverted while I kept to myself, an artist while I lived by logic. I truly believed we were made to complement each other. Our early marriage felt like stepping into a beautiful storybook. Our weekends were spent strolling through farmers' markets, her fingers laced with mine as she picked produce she'd never get around to using. Sunday dinners were a cherished tradition. Her father and I would sneak away to catch the game while the women traded stories in the kitchen. My job in construction management was thriving, and I took pride in being able to support her dream of leaving her receptionist job to paint full-time. I honestly thought I was laying a rock-solid foundation for the rest of our lives, brick by emotional brick, like I'd approach a project site. But things began to shift, subtly at first, like hairline fractures in a load-bearing wall. It started when her friend Sarah got divorced. Suddenly, Sarah's name became a daily presence. "Sarah says marriage stifles growth," Melissa mentioned one evening. Another time, over dinner, she added, "Sarah thinks people lose themselves in relationships." Her opinions started sounding more like Sarah's than her own. It felt like Sarah had taken up residence in our home, even though she never set foot inside. Girls' nights went from occasional to frequent. Shopping trips stretched on for entire afternoons. One day, while folding laundry, I found a set of black lace lingerie buried deep in her drawer, something I'd never seen her wear. When I brought it up, she told me she'd bought it ages ago to surprise me, then forgot. That surprise never came. Around the same time, her phone, once left out casually on counters, became a constant companion, always face down, always within reach. Every time it buzzed, she'd glance at it with a flicker of amusement, smiling faintly like she was keeping a secret. Her grooming routine, once reserved for nights out, became elaborate even for mundane errands. She'd spend nearly an hour getting ready just to run to Target. When I mentioned it, she deflected. "I just want to feel confident," she said lightly. "Is that so bad?" Then came the day, 3 months ago, when she came home from a so-called shopping trip with Sarah, and not a single shopping bag in sight. I asked what she bought. She gave a nervous chuckle, not her real laugh, but the strained one she used when covering something up. "Nothing really caught our eye," she said, too fast, but the bank statement showed no charges. The odometer, however, told a different story, 60 extra miles. Sarah lived 10 miles away. I wanted to believe her. I desperately wanted to. This was the woman who held my hand through my father's funeral. The same woman who sat by my bedside after surgery, refusing to leave. But every instinct I had screamed that something was wrong. That night, as she slept peacefully beside me, I made a decision. I needed answers, whatever the cost. I began with the phone records. I'd never paid attention to our Verizon account before. Melissa handled the day-to-day bills while I dealt with the major expenses. One Tuesday morning, while she was in the shower, I logged in. What I found rewrote the story of our marriage. A single number stood out, calls every day, dozens of texts. It wasn't a contact I recognized. I felt like I was morphing into someone else, half devoted husband, half undercover investigator. While she painted in the studio, I discreetly checked the mileage on her car and jotted it down in a notebook hidden in my toolbox. Patterns began to emerge. Every so-called girls' night added nearly 50 miles. Each shopping spree added 38. But none of those numbers aligned with Sarah's home or any local stores. Each day, I played my part, saying goodbye with a kiss, smiling over dinner, lying beside her in bed while wondering who occupied her thoughts. I studied her face, hoping to catch a glimpse of the woman I once knew. But all I saw was a stranger wearing her skin. Eventually, I ran a reverse search on the number. A name popped up: Thomas Grayson. LinkedIn did the rest. He was a divorced CPA, lived in Fairfield Heights, and worked downtown. His Facebook profile was mostly private, but his photo showed a man in his 40s with a neatly trimmed beard and confident smile. The kind of man who knew how to make someone feel seen, especially if they were feeling ignored. 3 weeks into this quiet investigation, I reached a point I swore I never would. I followed her. I told my boss I had a dentist appointment and slipped out of work earlier than usual. When I passed by our house, Melissa's car was nowhere in sight. About 20 minutes later, I found it, parked in front of a modest 2-story home in Fairfield Heights, precisely 38 miles from our place, just as my mileage estimates had predicted. I parked several houses down the street, heart hammering in my chest so hard I thought I might black out. Before she could even reach the door, it opened from the inside. Thomas stepped out. He was taller in real life than in the pictures I'd seen. Dressed in jeans and a plain t-shirt, he looked like someone who'd taken the afternoon off. The kiss that followed wasn't hesitant or uncertain. It was passionate, practiced, and intimate. His hand wove through her hair in a way that used to be mine. They stepped inside together, leaving me alone in my truck, feeling hollowed out like someone had scooped out my insides with a dull knife. But the builder in me took over. Emotions could wait. Right now, I needed proof. I pulled out my phone and started documenting. I snapped pictures of the house, took down the street number, grabbed a shot of his license plate. I logged the time. Melissa had arrived at 2:17 p.m. When she emerged at 5:43 p.m., she looked subtly, but unmistakably, different. Her hair was messier. Her makeup looked retouched, especially near one eye. And her expression, there was a certain glow that turned my stomach. I took the scenic route back to avoid arriving home first. By the time I stepped through the door, she was already in the kitchen, humming a tune as she prepped dinner. Chicken parmesan, my favorite. "How was your day at work?" she asked cheerfully, planting a kiss on my cheek. I caught a trace of cologne on her skin, something warm and musky that definitely wasn't mine. "Just another day," I replied smoothly, matching her lie with one of my own. "What about you?" "Oh, nothing exciting," she said, with the ease of someone who's told the same kind of lie before. "Ran some errands, did a bit of painting. Sarah called. She might go out this weekend." She delivered the fabrication so effortlessly, it chilled me. That night, I opened a new notebook and began recording everything: locations, times, excuses, strange behavior. This wasn't a momentary lapse or a single betrayal. It was a whole system she'd put into place. Her cheating wasn't accidental. It was organized, rehearsed, and executed like a second life. I had the evidence. But that night, another realization struck. Proving her guilt wasn't enough anymore. For months, she had humiliated me in secret. It was time she felt that shame where it counted, publicly. The idea hit me during a worksite inspection. I was reviewing a security system demonstration, and the tech explained how the wireless cameras could stream to multiple devices in real time. That's when everything clicked into place. If her deception happened behind closed doors, her downfall would happen in the open. I began laying the groundwork. Amazon became my supplier. I ordered a set of compact, high-resolution hidden cameras, small enough to hide discreetly, powerful enough to stream HD video. I had them shipped to my office, stayed late to test them, and trained myself to use every function. The irony wasn't lost on me. After years spent constructing buildings, I was now designing a trap. Assembling the group chat required finesse. Melissa's family was close, emotionally and geographically. Her parents, her siblings, even a few cousins all lived within a short drive. I reached out to each one individually, under the pretense of organizing a surprise celebration for our 15th wedding anniversary. Everyone agreed to join. Once the group was complete, I named it Melissa's Surprise. I wrote, "Please don't mention anything to her. I'll post updates here. Keep your phones close. The big moment is coming soon." Linda, her mother, responded with hearts. Her sister Kate messaged that she couldn't wait. Her father, Tom, the man who'd always treated me like his own son, wrote that he was proud of me for putting in so much effort. Each message felt like a blade twisting deeper into my ribs. In the meantime, I leaned fully into the performance. I brought home flowers just because. I recommended we check out that new Italian spot she kept hinting at. When she claimed exhaustion from painting all day, I rubbed her feet while we watched Netflix. She never suspected a thing. Every moment she laughed was another step closer to the end. As I built the emotional snare, I also laid a legal foundation. I met with a divorce attorney named David Brennan at a quiet diner in a neighboring town. His name came from a coworker who'd just gone through a messy separation. "In no-fault states, cheating won't impact the division of property too much," he told me. "But hard proof can influence alimony. And if custody ever becomes a factor, it definitely helps." "We don't have kids," I replied. "Then this comes down to protecting your finances and your reputation," he said. "Save everything. Keep records. Get ahead of the storm." I opened a new checking account, secured key documents in a private safety deposit box, and mentally inventoried which possessions were solely mine. The house was in both our names, but every mortgage payment had come from my account. Her car, a birthday gift from me, completely paid off. The furniture, the decorations, the life we built, eventually, it would all need to be divided, piece by piece, like separating organs from a shared body. As for surveillance, I scoped out Thomas's neighborhood more than once. I learned his routines. He worked from home on Tuesdays and Thursdays, liked to crack his bedroom window even in cold weather, and usually left his blinds open just enough to see straight into the living room from the street. I blended in during evening jogs, hoodie up, earbuds in, pretending to be just another local out for a run. I memorized where the cameras would go. Every test run brought me closer to the real thing. For weeks, I had meticulously prepared, strategically planting hidden cameras throughout the house, syncing each one to my phone. I ran countless tests, adjusting placement and picture quality until the footage was flawless. The equipment was top-notch. Sharp video, crisp audio, and even infrared vision, though I wouldn't need that feature. I practiced again and again until I could deploy a full setup in less than 30 seconds. Then, just 5 days before my intended move, Melissa unknowingly handed me the final piece I needed. Over breakfast, as she nonchalantly buttered her toast, she said, "Sarah's been having a rough time lately. I thought I might go over Friday night, maybe sleep over. Wine, girl talk, comfort, that's really kind of you," I responded, keeping my tone warm and supportive, though I already knew the truth. "She's lucky to have you in her corner." She reached across the table and gave my hand a gentle squeeze. "You're so understanding," she said sweetly. "Most guys would be suspicious." When Friday rolled around and Melissa leaned in for a goodbye kiss, casually saying she was headed to Sarah's, I returned her gesture with a smile and wished her well. She had no idea she was stepping into a carefully constructed snare, one that would expose her betrayal to every person in her life. Outside, a light rain had started, matching the mood perfectly. She spent nearly an hour getting ready, fussing with her appearance like it was a date, not a night of consolation. I watched her slip a lacy lingerie set into her bag, hidden beneath the pajamas I'd given her for Christmas. Her parting kiss felt robotic, her mind clearly elsewhere. "Hope you have a nice evening with Sarah," I said. Tell her I'm wishing her the best." "Thanks, I will," she replied vaguely. "Don't wait up." 15 minutes after she left, I followed. My gear was already loaded in the truck. She took the exact route I expected, heading straight for Fairfield Heights. She never checked her mirrors once. This time, she didn't even pretend to be discreet, pulling right into Thomas's driveway. I parked nearby and watched as she approached his door. He answered wearing a silk robe, looking every bit the cliché. The kiss they shared was intense, intimate, and deeply familiar. Her bag sat abandoned on the porch as they stumbled inside, caught up in each other. Once the door closed, I got to work. The rain made my job easier. No neighbors lingering around, and the soft drizzle masked any noise I made. I mounted the first camera just outside the bedroom window, propped open just enough for a clean view. The second went in through a gap in the living room blinds. Both synced to my phone instantly, showing empty rooms soon to be filled with disgrace. Back in my truck, I opened the family group chat and typed, "Hey everyone, you're not going to believe this. Something's happening with Melissa. Right now. Make sure you're somewhere private. You'll want to see this." The responses poured in. Linda was curious. Kate said she and her husband were home. Tom was in his shop, phone ready. 14 people in total, siblings, cousins, even some extended friends, all expecting some heartfelt surprise. On my screen, Melissa and Thomas entered the bedroom, laughing and sipping wine like they were characters in a romantic comedy. Her coat was gone. He wore only a t-shirt and boxers. Their chemistry was unmistakable. This wasn't new. This had been happening behind my back for a long time. I hovered over the Go Live button, my thumb inches away. One push, and everything would unravel. I sent one last message. Going live in 3, 2, 1, watch closely. The live feed started just as Thomas pulled her close, his hands claiming what once was mine. She welcomed him with practiced ease. This wasn't spontaneous passion, it was routine. The chat lit up instantly. "Kate, what is this?" Linda. "Daniel, are you serious right now?" Tom. "Turn it off." Jennifer. "Oh my God." Aunt Marie. "Is this real?" But I didn't stop the stream. I let them witness it all. Melissa, their daughter, sister, niece, entangled in another man's embrace. Let them see what I had ignored for too long. The footage was immaculate. 4K betrayal, surround sound infidelity. And then came the payoff. Around the 7th minute, Melissa's phone, charging on Thomas's nightstand, began buzzing non-stop. At first, she didn't notice. She was too wrapped up in the moment, but the vibrating wouldn't stop. 14 family members were now texting and calling simultaneously. Thomas hesitated. "Your phone's going nuts," he said. "Just ignore it," she whispered breathlessly. But then she looked down. I watched her face contort in horror. One notification preview had slipped through. "Mom, what are you doing? We can all see you." Her scream pierced the air, raw, animalistic. She dove for the phone, completely exposed, trembling as she frantically scrolled through the tidal wave of messages. Her world collapsed in seconds. Thomas shouted, confused, trying to get a glimpse of her screen. "What's going on?" he barked. She found the chat. She found the stream. She saw herself from multiple camera angles, in high-definition clarity, broadcast to her entire family. "No, oh no, 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 no," she sobbed, spinning in shock. Her eyes landed on the tiny black lens perched on the window frame. Thomas was yelling now, scrambling to pull on his clothes, throwing out threats of legal action. But Melissa didn't move. She just sank to the floor, clutching her phone, broken and weeping. Melissa watched the video of herself in silence, tears tracing slow paths down her cheeks. The live stream ran for 12 uninterrupted minutes before Thomas knocked over the hidden camera, 12 minutes that dismantled over 10 years of secrets she thought she'd buried deep. In our shared family group chat, chaos erupted. Relatives clashed, taking sides, trading shock, fury, and reluctant empathy. Through it all, I refused to respond to Melissa's frantic attempts to reach me. Her texts came in waves. First, "Daniel, please." Then, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Followed by, please talk to me. It's not what it looks like. And finally, come home. I need to explain. As I drove, the phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Her family reached out too, some livid, some expressing sorrow, all blindsided by what they'd seen. And then suddenly, Melissa stopped messaging altogether. In that silence, she understood. In those 12 minutes, everything she had constructed, every illusion, every excuse, was torn down in front of everyone who once believed in her. There was no undoing it. It's been 6 months since I made her betrayal impossible to ignore. Now, I sit at the kitchen table alone, sipping coffee from a ceramic mug she once hand-painted for my birthday. This is the same kitchen where she used to make her signature chicken parmesan, while disguising the scent of another man on her clothes. I kept the mug not for sentimentality, but as a warning. Beautiful things can come from people who lie. She came back that night just before dawn, not to reconcile because that door was locked, but to beg. She was still in the same clothes she had hurriedly put on at Thomas's place. Her makeup had smeared into something ghostly and grotesque. She alternated between sobbing pleas and sharp bursts of rage. "How could you do this to me?" she cried. "What gives you the right?" she yelled. But then her tone shifted again. "Don't you get it?" It didn't mean anything. 63 visits that meant nothing? I asked, my voice steady. 14 months of sneaking around, all meaningless? She faltered. The precision of my knowledge unraveled her. It hit her then. I'd known far longer than she imagined. I had watched her lie without flinching. The sting of being exposed didn't come close to what I had endured, quietly, day after day. The divorce was swift and clean, executed with the precision of a well-drawn blueprint. The footage, seen by 14 people, made her attorney's advice clear. Accept the terms and walk away. She didn't contest anything. I kept the house since it was solely in my name. She gave up any claim to alimony. Her car, her art supplies, and half of our savings. That was all she left with. It took 4 months from start to finish. The legal part was simple. The emotional fallout with her family was not. Her father, Tom, didn't speak to her for 8 weeks. When he finally did, his words were colder than I expected. "You've broken my heart deeper than your mother ever did," he told her. "You've disgraced the entire family." Her sister Linda tried to mediate, but couldn't hide the disappointment in her voice. Kate offered Melissa a temporary place to stay, but after just 3 weeks, Kate's husband asked her to move out. The family fractured. Some accused me of being vindictive. Others felt Melissa had reaped what she sowed. As for Thomas, he vanished. According to LinkedIn, he moved to Portland. He never contacted Melissa again after that night. In just 12 minutes, she had lost her husband, her secret lover, and her reputation in our tight-knit community. At 36, she's back living with her parents. She works a few hours a week at a craft supply store. Her once promising art career is finished, burned down by the scandal that turned her into a minor local cautionary tale. Someone had screen-recorded parts of the live stream before the camera was destroyed, and the video circulated just enough to make her a recognizable name for all the wrong reasons. Around town, she became that woman. Her betrayal played out for all to see. Some friends of ours were critical. "You should have kept it private," they said. "Handled it behind closed doors, gotten out with dignity." But they didn't have to live through the gaslighting. They weren't the ones who kissed their spouse goodbye in the morning, only to be lied to by noon. They didn't watch the foundation of trust erode, grain by grain, while smiling like everything was normal. I've started seeing someone. It's still early, but she's from my gym. Sharp wit, good laugh. On our 3rd date, I told her the whole story, thinking it might send her running. She raised an eyebrow and smiled. "Well, remind me not to mess with you," she said, then flagged the waiter for another drink. There's a strange comfort in being with someone who knows what you're capable of and chooses to stay anyway. The house has changed. It feels airier now, lighter, even with less in it. I replaced the bedroom furniture, repainted the walls. To me, it's symbolic. Sometimes you have to strip everything down to rebuild something solid. Just last week, I got a message from Melissa. "I think about that night all the time," she wrote. "Not just what you did, but what I did to deserve it. I know sorry doesn't fix anything, but I really am sorry." I didn't answer. There's nothing more to say. She built the architecture of her own collapse, one deception, one insincere smile at a time. All I did was pull back the curtain. They say revenge leaves a bitter aftertaste. Maybe for some people. Not for me. There's a particular emptiness that betrayal leaves in its wake. But sitting here now, in the stillness of this kitchen, with sunlight spilling across a floor she'll never walk on again, I don't feel grief. What I feel is peace. Even when it wrecks everything, the truth is sharper and cleaner than the prettiest lie. Justice doesn't always resemble fairness. Sometimes it's just the universe balancing itself, returning energy to its sender, but concentrated and exact. For more than a year, Melissa humiliated me in private, slowly and methodically. I answered with a single, searing 12-minute broadcast that unmasked her completely. The scales are balanced now. That part of the story is closed, and for the first time in what feels like forever, I'm standing on steady ground, firm enough to begin again.